Now, let me just ask you, what would you do? What do you do if you know that you're reading the New York Post and it says Google searches for sell my home fast spiked 2,750%? Does that mean that the housing market is just falling apart at the seams? I don't know. It's not right now in St. Louis, but maybe it's going to. Let's get into the article and take a look. It says Google searches for sell my home fast spiked 2,750%. Now, I don't have access to Google search spikes, so I don't even know how they got this information, but let's see if we can get through it. So it says, within hours of the latest GDP report on Thursday, which raised fears that the United States could be entering a recession. Well, we've known we're in a recession by definition. Online search volume for sell my home fast spiked a whopping 2,750%. Now, sell my home fast isn't going to be a search term that's going to get you me. Sell my home fast is a term for house flippers, basically, and investors, like the open doors and the mom and pop, places, Zillow, iBuyers, when they used to exist. Anyway, if you got to sell your house fast, you're probably not looking for an agent. Why do I say that? Well, I can list a home. I need a week. I need a week from when we sign the paperwork to list the house. Why? Well, that's the preparation. First of all, I need to take pictures. Second, I need to write up the listing. Third, I need to get video. I'm not doing all those things by myself. I have professionals that do those things, but they're not just going to jump when I say jump. So it takes about a week. And then when we do closings here in St. Louis, at least, if it's not an all cash deal, it's probably going to take 30 days to close. So if you can't handle 40 days, we're probably not going to do very well on listing the house. We're probably not going to sell the home fast. It just depends on what you think fast is. But let's continue. It says, shortly after the Commerce Department released the report on July 28th, revealing that the economy showed negative growth for a second straight quarter, shrinking by an annual pace of 0.9%. Home sellers hoping for higher housing prices to continue are now concerned. Interesting. It says a study by luxury real estate brokerage Ruby Home analyzed data from Google Trends for the week of July 25th to July 29th to see how customers would react to the news in real time. Spike in the search terms above show that consumers are on edge right now. The founder and CEO of Ruby Home told the Post, it's a double whammy. The combination of rising interest rates and contracting GDP fuels consumer uncertainty about home prices. Now, look, just pulling this up on Google, I mean, anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. And so you can see it's really high. But the way they do this in Google, it's not like they're giving you a percentage, but they're not giving you an actual number. And I've noticed this happens a lot. Like, so anytime you have like someone passing away, it seems to always garner like a lot of searches. So sell my home fast. While it's going up 2,750% higher than before, be careful with what you're, be careful for what you're extrapolating from numbers on a Google search. The idea that it says spike in the search terms above shows that the consumers are on edge right now. Are they? Are they? It's almost like you have an opinion. I'm not criticizing, but it's almost like you have an opinion and you're using data to justify it rather than the data speaking, rather than the data having its own narrative. All we know is that it spiked. We know that. We don't know why. You're assuming that's the reason. It says real estate brokers see the effects of the changing sentiment. At Ruby Home, we've seen a slowdown in luxury home and second purchases as wealthier individuals take a wait and see approach. I mean, that's them. In St. Louis, it hasn't been that way. Let's just talk about um, a deal that we were working on this weekend. My colleague and I saw a house. The comps indicated, let's say, $500,000. Last house to sell in the neighborhood was $500,000. My buyer or my company buyer came in at $65,000 over asking with a great offer, and they didn't even get the house. So, and the person that we're representing, I feel is like they're pretty wealthy because they're going to buy in cash. So, I mean, I realize that there's different levels of wealth, but I mean, anyway, it says, meanwhile, search volume for what does a recession mean for me also simultaneously spiked a massive 1,900%. So, but why would sell my house fast, okay, be correlated with what does a recession mean for me? The thing that, like, I love Google, I love YouTube, I love all these programs, I love all this software. But one thing I've gotten to know over the years is there's these things that I would like to say they're called marketing channels. And or marketing segments. And what do I mean by that? Well, like, we assume that because we can measure our advertising spend and we can somehow measure the eyeballs on that spend, that we can somehow correlate, some sort of success or some sort of visibility. But that's not necessarily true. What do I mean by that? So let's just say I send out a postcard, okay, to every neighbor in my neighborhood. And I've done that. The differences in those people, you're going to get old people, young people, people with families, people without families, people with nice houses, people with bad houses. I mean, all the way across the board. Okay. Just so many different variables. Okay. In that variable, you're going to get maybe 20 to 30% of people who've never searched for anything online. So those people would never see your advertising. Similarly, in this case, it's not enough to know that the percentages are higher to me because we don't know the demographics of the people that are looking. I mean, if it's a 13-year-old looking, what does a recession mean for me? It's probably not related to housing, right? Because they can't buy a house yet. And the whole idea of sell my home fast, all we know is that it's a somewhat what I would call technologically savvy individual because they're using YouTube or because they're using Google. And that doesn't mean that they are, but it doesn't tell us as much as I believe this is. So it says the silver lining today is that we're not seeing 30 bidders on mid-market homes, and there's more inventory on the market than during the pandemic. The silver lining today, I would agree that there's not always 30 offers. Still a lot. So anyway, I'm a little confused. It says, according to the real estate brokerage Redfin, analysis showed that the U.S. housing market has slowed considerably now this is another thing I don't know. It says due to decades high inflation and soaring interest rates, which has put many would-be home buyers on the rental market. This time last year, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage averaged 2.8%. Now it's averaged a significant 5.3%. And buyers who poured into popular migration destinations at the height of the pandemic are likely to see price declines in those overheated markets. Okay, so what I would say is this. I think this is mine. I think this is my background, first of all. Let's see. It is not. I don't know. It's close. Number one. Let's go here. Okay. So number one, if you bought a home during the pandemic, were you planning on leaving that home after the pandemic was over? That would indicate a level of wealth that I don't think is in the majority. One of the things, like I'm representing buyers right now that are closing this month, a number of them. We've talked about, hey, the first year your house value may go down, and they always tell me, like, John, I'm not moving out the first year. We're hoping to stay here for 5 years, for 10 years, for the rest of our lives. We don't care. We really don't. We don't care if the market goes down. What do we care? That's the approach to have. I don't know how you could ever buy a house and say, oh, well, it could go down in price. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. I certainly don't.